Training Tuesday, back at it again. I'm Will, and remember this entire month of October, I'm talking about weight training and young athletes. So let's get started with another aspect of weight training for young athletes. When can a young athlete start to lift weights? At what age can they start to lift weights? Great question, very important question. I talked about this months ago, but I want to talk about it again. So here's the requirements when it comes to lifting weights at a very young age. Can they tolerate forces being placed on their body, on their joints? Can they be coached really well? Like, do they take constructive criticism? Can they learn technique really well? Those are the two main requirements when it comes to lifting weights at a young age. So think about it. A young athlete is playing a sport already. So they're being coached and they're already having forces being placed on their body when they play sports because they're running, they're jumping, they're having contact with their opponents. Maybe they're landing on the ground and just tolerating it just fine, getting up, feeling just fine. So in other words, they're already doing the requirements in a sport that is required when it comes to lifting weights. They're being coached and they're having forces being put on their body. And with weight training, chances are they're going to be coached probably the same amount, and they're going to have way less forces being placed on their body than the sport ever would. Because as long as they go slow and in control with this light weight that they're lifting, that's low forces on their body. If they can tolerate the high forces, they can definitely tolerate the low forces. If they can handle coaching from a soccer coach, baseball coach, whatever, then they can handle coaching from a weight training coach. I've trained young athletes with weight training starting at the age of 6, and they do just fine, and there's no negative effects as long as you're doing things right, which that's what a coach is for. So hopefully this answers the question of how young can an athlete start to lift weights. If they're old enough to play a sport and can tolerate it, they're old enough to lift weights. So 5 or 6, 7, 8 years old, yeah, they can lift weights. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.